In every life, the beast man I chose would, by some coincidence, become devoted to my senior sister, Suhi, utterly and completely. 2 lives ago I chose a powerful merfolk. But he scorned me for not being gentle enough, and fell for Suhi at first sight. Even during the sect tournament, to shield Suhi from trouble, he stood by and watched as other beastmen tore me to pieces. And so I was forced to start over. Since the merfolk despised me, in my last life I chose the white tiger Suhi had once picked. The white tiger clan's loyalty was what I wanted most. But who would have thought that after I bonded with the white tiger, he truly was loyal. Only, as always, his loyalty was to Suhi. To break the bond with me, he even severed one of his own claws, just to kill me with his own hands. With my last breath, I demanded unwillingly, if you never wanted this, why didn't you refuse from the start? He only looked at me coldly.
Back then, I only needed someone to take me out of the beast arena.
Suhi was right there. He was going to take me away. But you got there first. If not for you, I could have bonded with him. I died with my eyes still open. And then, I was reborn yet again. This time I swore I would never again choose any beastman with even the slightest connection to Suhi. I paced back and forth among the beastmen, but none of them felt right. My father looked at me.
Ching, have you found no one to your liking? I'd say the merman and the white tiger are both solid choices. The merman clan is incredibly powerful. Once you form the contract, your cultivation is sure to rise to the next level. And that white tiger carries a divine beast bloodline, ruthless and decisive in battle, strong on both offense and defense. He's no worse, either.
I shook my head hard. I tried them both in the last 2 lives. They really are strong. Which is exactly why I never got a peaceful death. Father let out a sigh.
But if you don't choose this time, you'll have to wait another 4 years. 4 years may not sound like much, but for us cultivators, it's enough to open up a huge gap.
Father had said before. He had no other children. Someday, the clan leader's seat would be mine. But in this world, strength is everything. Even if Father is willing to pass it to me, I still need the power to hold it. The merman and the white tiger were exactly what he'd painstakingly found for me. Either one would be a huge boost. The other beastmen were all unremarkable. That was also why, in my first 2 lives, I ended up choosing between those 2. I sighed. But if I didn't want to repeat the same tragedy, then I absolutely couldn't pick either of them. I circled around, about to make my choice, and reached toward a golden lion nearby. But my wrist was suddenly tightly coiled up by a cold, slick tail. At the same time, a voice rang out in my head.
That's enough. You're driving me absolutely insane. Do you even know how to pick a spirit beast?
Startled, I looked down. There was a tiny snake, black from head to tail, lifting its head high. Its golden slit pupils fixed on me with an icy stare.
What are you staring at? What am I not even as good as? Those 2 cuties. Pick me. I'm not doing another rebirth with you.
I glanced around. Once I was sure it was him, I pricked my fingertip and let my blood fall onto his forehead. A contract sigil appeared out of thin air. The pact was sealed. Yet this little snake was still just a snake. Normally, once the contract is complete, the beast's nascent soul should take form immediately. All haughty, he slid along my arm and coiled himself neatly on my shoulder, his tongue flicking.
What are you staring at? I haven't fully recovered yet, so of course I can't take human form.
When Father saw I'd contracted a snake that looked completely devoid of spiritual power, he could only shake his head helplessly. Just like in my previous life, next it was senior sister's turn to step up. She'd lost her parents young, and was raised in my family. My parents treated her no differently than they treated me. Suhi was breathtakingly beautiful. The moment she stepped forward, I couldn't help but glance warily at the little snake on my shoulder. As if he'd seen right through my thoughts, he gave a soft snort in my mind.
This kind of trash isn't even worth my glance. Only those 2 morons would get bewitched into a daze, and in the end, willingly die for that woman.
At that, he seemed to remember something, his voice turning vicious.
Your damned spirit pivot point matches mine, so I was forcibly bound to your life and death cycle. I actually got dragged through 2 rebirths with you, each time right when I was about to reach perfection and ascend.
It's infuriating. I was just as baffled. I cautiously asked in my heart, "You're not here to get revenge on me, are you?" Even so, I know him. He'd never do that. If he kills me, he'll probably be forced to be reborn with me all over again. So not only won't he kill me, he'll have to protect me. At that thought, I couldn't help but let out a quiet snicker. When I turned my head, I met his still proud, Sundara expression. That little snake head was held high.
HMPH. I can't be bothered to lay a hand on you.
His gaze shifted to Suhi, with a hint of malice.
Tell me, this time, the merman and the white tiger weren't chosen by you. So who will Suhi choose?
I'm curious too. In the first 2 lives, I chose first and she took my leftovers. So they assumed that if I hadn't gotten there first, he would definitely have chosen them. This time, I'm leaving them both to her. So which one does she like more? He stood before the merman and the white tiger, hesitation on her face. And the two beasts looked at her with eager anticipation. Both had outstanding talent and cultivation, and striking looks. To be chosen by her was naturally something to rejoice over. But a person can only form a contract with one beast in a lifetime. She had to choose one of the two. The white tiger looked cold and stern, his figure tall and straight. The merman was bewitchingly beautiful, with a soft, shadowy air. He only hesitated for a moment before pointing at the white tiger. I choose you. She was just about to cut her fingertip, but the merman beside her tugged at her skirt hem.
Miss, choose me. I'm strong. I can protect you.
Watching him so humble, the way he looked, I couldn't help thinking back to the life before last. For he shoved me out to die, wearing that cold, indifferent expression. Just as my anger surged, a voice immediately sounded by my ear. Gujio's disgusted drawl.
That dead fish is only someone you'd pick if you were blind in your first 2 lives. Even one of my scales is worth more than him. They're nothing but ungrateful, petty lowlifes. When your cultivation rises in the future, just slaughter them all, clean.
Gujio hissed, then let out a cold snort, his face full of scorn. And that merman kept gazing at Suhi, pitiful and hopeful, eager to plead his case.
Though this white tiger is fierce, he may not know how to be gentle with a lady. I'm far stronger. I'll surely help you, miss, take your cultivation to the next level.
The white tiger's feral eyes fixed on Suhi.
Miss, are you really choosing that icy fish? Our tiger clan is the king of all beasts, born for slaughter. Once you awaken the Gingjin bloodline, you can defy heaven and change your fate. You'll be far stronger than this fish demon.
The two beasts fighting for favor drew. The clan sisters peeking over one after another. Suhi looked a little flustered. She let out a soft sigh. Truth is, you're both very strong. But humans can only contract one beast in a lifetime. I truly don't know which one to choose. Suddenly, she lifted her gaze to my junior sister. If it were you, what would you choose? The moment she finished, everyone's eyes snapped to me. If I hadn't lived through the first 2 lives, I'd have thought Suhi was simply asking for advice. I prayed I wouldn't end up being again. They're just part of her little game. I curled my lips into a smile. This isn't something I can butt into. Senior sister, just pick whatever suits your fancy. Suhi tilted her head, thinking for a moment. In the end, she still pointed at the white tiger. You. Then she looked at the merfolk. Her tone was bright with delight. You're outstanding too. One of our clan sisters will surely choose you. The merfolk's eyes dimmed. Soon, the other sisters led him away. After Suhi bonded with the white tiger successfully took human form. He immediately took Suhi's hand and walked up to me. He looked at me, putting on an innocent act. At my shoulder, the little black snake was coiled.
That little snake is really something. If you hadn't taken him, junior sister, I might have been tempted myself.
Gujioyo merely flicked the tip of his tail, sweeping through the air. He couldn't be bothered to respond. I was very pleased. In my previous 2 lives, Suhi had said the same thing. The moment she spoke, my contracted beast would look at her with anticipation. Senior sister, aren't you afraid you'll hurt your own beast saying that? After I said that, I even shot the white tiger a deliberately sympathetic look. Suhi's expression stiffened slightly. Then she gave me an innocent smile. Junior sister, I was only complimenting your little beast. And of course, what I chose is the best. Next, those who successfully formed a contract must remain in the clan to build rapport with their contracted beasts. But Gujioyo said,
There's no need. You died twice at the hands of those 2 beasts. In the end, it was because you weren't strong enough.
He lifted his tiny snake head. His slit pupils were full of contempt.
All fear comes from not being strong enough. In this life, Aching, you have to cultivate on your own. Don't rely on your contract beast. Lean on a mountain and it will crumble. Lean on people and they'll run. I'll keep my eyes on you until you get stronger.
To my surprise, I found what he said pretty convincing. So he asked Father to let me go train at the clan's trial grounds. Father looked pleased when he heard that.
Good child. You've thought it through so clearly. Very good.
Gujioyo and I entered the trial grounds together. This place was crawling with demonic beasts and monsters. Before we left, Father warned me. With my current strength, I could only move around the outer perimeter. I kept Father's words firmly in mind. At first, everything went smoothly. But it didn't take long to feel something was off. Gujioyo hadn't taken human form yet, but he was unbelievably fast. Every day, he'd slither off for a stroll, and come back with a pack of high-level demonic beasts on his tail. Day after day, I ran for my life in the trial grounds, while Gujioyo lounged coiled up in a tall tree, still sending voice messages to lecture me.
Only by enduring the hardest hardships can you rise above everyone else. The effort you put in now will pay back tenfold someday.
I shot him a furious glare. Then why aren't you the one working hard? Gu Jiuyo flicked his tongue and looked at me innocently.
I've had a strange illness since I was little. The physician said my stomach is weak, so I can't handle hardship. Besides, we share cultivation anyway. If you get stronger, I get stronger too. You suffering alone is better than both of us suffering together, isn't it?
I wanted to argue back, but the demonic beasts closing in behind me cut me off. In the trial grounds, most people come out after 10 days, maybe half a month at most. But Gu Jiuyo and I stayed in there for a full year. Nearly every demon beast in the arena had taken a beating from me. At first, they were the ones chasing me. I didn't even dare sleep soundly. The moment I closed my eyes, a demon beast could pounce. Little by little, running away became second nature to me. But Gu Jiuyo couldn't stand it. He said running was pointless. I had to face them head on. So, every day, I got beaten black and blue by demon beasts. Gu Jiuyo never knew how to go easy on anyone. He said that in his eyes, there was no difference between men and women. Only the strong and the weak. And so I was pummeled by demon beasts. For months on end. I couldn't even tell whether I'd just gotten tougher, or if my strength had truly improved. Gradually, I started striking back. By the day I finally walked out of the trial grounds, the demon beasts in the realm were more excited than the last. They even dragged over a few pieces of game for me to take back and eat, as if they were seeing off a walking disaster. After being in there for so long, seeing that actually made me a little reluctant to leave. But before I could put on a sentimental farewell with them, the lead leopard demon gave me a kick and booted me straight out of the trial grounds. Father had been waiting outside for a long time. When he saw me, he visibly let out a sigh of relief.
Aiching, why did it take you so long to come out?
Before he'd even finished, senior sister peeked out from behind him. You haven't come out for so long, junior sister. You must be much stronger now, right? I looked at her, smiled softly, and nodded. Not bad. That made her giggle. But the white tiger beside her stayed silent.
Don't worry, here, I'll cultivate hard and protect you. You won't have to do a thing. I'm not like certain worthless beastmen, making the master risk her life herself.
Father flicked him a cool glance.
Let's go. Let's head home first.
When we got home, the first thing I saw was, in the distance, the merman who should have contracted with one of the clan girls, quietly waiting there for Suhi. Suhi lowered her gaze. I'll go talk to him. I didn't choose him last time, so he's been clinging to me ever since. The white tiger immediately bared a menacing look.
His tiger eyes went wide. Here, you're just too soft-hearted. Let me go drive him off.
No need. I'll just go say a few words to him. I stayed where I was. Gu Jiuyo was coiled around my wrist, disguised as a black bangle. His voice rang in my mind, cold as ice. What a two-faced bitch. After quite a while, Suhi finally came back. The merman left, looking dejected. 3 days later, something big happened in the clan. That something big was the family's annual Spirit Beast tournament. It was the crucial test of how well the younger generation and their contracted beasts worked together and of their strength. And it was a blood-soaked arena where your standing in the clan was decided. In my first 2 lives, I lost miserably in this very tournament. Because my contracted beast was half-hearted. I became the joke of the entire clan, and father was humiliated because of it. The training grounds were packed and roaring with voices. Suhi wore a flowing white dress, standing at the center of the arena. She looked like the heavenly maiden of the 9 heavens. The white tiger at her side looked imposing, its body radiating a razor-sharp metal aura. With a single deafening roar, it sent a shock through everyone watching.
Miss Suhi really lives up to her reputation. To think she actually contracted such a powerful white tiger.
Yeah, that white tiger has to be at peak tier 3. She's bound to take first place in this tournament. Listening to the praise all around, Suhi wore a modest smile. Yet her gaze drifted toward me now and then. She said softly, "Junior sister, you've only just come out of the trial grounds. And that little snake of yours looks. If you're not feeling well, why not withdraw? Everyone will understand. After all, safety comes first." The white tiger beside her even spoke in human words.
Its eyes full of disdain. Here, you're just too kind. A weakling like her, contracted to trash, doesn't even deserve to stand here. That scrawny black loach. She probably couldn't even take one roar from me.
The black jade bracelet on my wrist stirred. Gu Jiuyo's lazy voice exploded in my head.
Is this idiot cat's brain stuck in a door or what? Who's he calling a black loach? Aiching, go. Knock his teeth out for me.
I soothed him with a gentle stroke over his scales, signaling him to stay calm. Thank you for your concern, senior sister. Step by step, I walked onto the arena. My expression calm. But since this is a match, there's no reason to back down before it even begins. A flicker of contempt flashed in Suhi's eyes. Then she covered her mouth and chuckled softly. Since you insist, junior sister, we'll stop at the first sign, no need to go too far. White tiger, go easy on her in a moment. Don't hurt junior sister. The white tiger let out a cold snort. For Hia's sake. I'll give you 3 moves. At the referee's call, the match began. The crowd below all shook their heads. It was as if they'd already seen me getting swatted off the stage by the white tiger. The white tiger stood there arrogantly, not even bothering to raise his protective aura. I didn't summon Gujuyo. Instead, I loosened my wrist. That year in the trial arena, I learned one truth. Cut the chatter. Just fight. Boom. The blue stone slab beneath my feet I shot forward like an arrow loosed from the bow. The white tiger's mocking eyes snapped tight. He clearly hadn't expected a spirit cultivator like me to move even faster than a wind-type demon beast. Before he could even react, I was already right up on him. No flashy techniques. Just a straight punch forged through countless life-and-death fights, driving hard into the bridge of his nose. A piercing scream rang out. That once imposing white tiger flew like a kite with its string cut, knocked straight off the arena. He slammed into a stone pillar in the distance, kicking up a cloud of dust. The whole place fell deathly silent. The smile on Suhi's face froze. She kept her hand covering her mouth, looking utterly ridiculous. I stood in the middle of the arena, blew the dust off my fist, and said calmly, "Thanks for holding back. Seems Brother White Tiger's 3 moves were given up quite thoroughly." Gujuyo was laughing like crazy in my head.
Hava hava, did you see the look on that stupid cat's face? That was satisfying, so satisfying. But, Ching, that punch you threw just now was a bit off in force. If it had landed 3 inches lower, you could have dislocated his jaw in one go.
The referee stood there stunned for a long moment before snapping back.
Then he stammered out, "Winner, Ching."
The crowd erupted instantly.
Oh my god, did I see that right? The eldest miss sent the white tiger flying with 1 punch.
She didn't even have her contract beast help. What kind of monster strength is that? Father sat up on the high platform. So excited his beard was trembling. His eyes brimmed with pride. Suhi ran off the stage, face pale, to check on the white tiger's injuries. The white tiger was bruised and swollen, sniffling as he complained.
Here, she cheated. She must have used some underhanded artifact. How could a spiritual cultivator have that much strength?
Suhi stroked his head, looking heartbroken. When she turned to look at me, her eyes were already red. She looked like she'd suffered a great injustice. "Junior sister, it was only a spar. Why did you have to hit so hard? As for White Tiger, he was only holding back to let you win." Before I could say anything, a cold, sinister voice suddenly rang out from the crowd.
Miss Su is right. The eldest miss is truly vicious. She's completely disregarded any bond between fellow disciples.
Everyone looked toward the voice and saw the merman approaching, his face dark. Though Suhi hadn't chosen him, he still lingered nearby like a guard. He glanced at the injured white tiger, a flicker of jealousy flashing in his eyes. But more than that, it was the harshness of someone trying to ingratiate himself with Suhi. He turned his gaze to me. Mist curled around her, killing intent sharp and cold.
"Since the young lady is truly that formidable, why not let me test you myself?"
"So they're going to wear her down with a relay fight." Gujuyo let out a cold sneer.
"Look, here comes that bootlicker again. He was the same in the last 2 lives. For that woman, he'd throw away his brains entirely."
I looked at the merfolk. Cold fury churned inside me. In my last life, he wore that sanctimonious, righteous mask to protect Suhi, and shoved me straight into the abyss. "You want to play hero for her?" I arched a brow. The merfolk snorted.
"I just can't stand people using their power to bully others."
"Fine." I curled my lips into a smile. There wasn't a trace of fear in my eyes. "If you want to fight, then come on. But this time, I won't hold back." The merfolk sprang onto the arena, a trident condensed in his hand. Water essence from all around surged toward him. The air turned damp and heavy.
"Ching, watch out."
Gujuyo's voice was, for once, a shade more serious.
"That dead fish may be dumb, but his strength really is close to 4th rank, and water-type arts excel at entangling, drawn-out fights."
"Don't let him trap you." I answered him silently. "Don't worry. In the trial grounds, I've killed water demons. By the hundreds, 800, if not 1,000. The merfolk wasn't as careless as the white tiger. He went all out the moment the fight began. Water prison technique. Countless streams turned into ropes, whipping toward me to bind me. I darted and shifted. Relying on the uncanny footwork I'd honed in the trial grounds, I slipped through the gaps between the currents.
"Is dodging all you can do?"
The merfolk sneered. The trident in my hand lunged straight for where I was about to land. Just then, Gujuyo, coiled around my wrist, suddenly lifted his head. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Yet I felt an invisible pressure wash over the entire arena in an instant. It was the bloodline suppression of a superior. The merman's fluid movements seized up. A flicker of soul-deep terror flashed in his eyes. He trembled as if he'd met a natural predator. That split-second hesitation, I seized it and closed in. I planted my foot on the wrist gripping the trident, then sprang up with the momentum. My whip kick cracked into the side of his neck. The merman didn't even manage a scream, and passed out on the spot. He lay limp on the ground like a dead fish. I landed smoothly. I lightly stroked the black jade bangle on my wrist, smiling to myself. Thanks, Joyo. Gujoyo gave a haughty snort.
I just found him too loud. Don't think I did it to help you.
The whole place fell dead silent again. If beating the white tiger could be called luck, then one-shotting the merman was sheer, undeniable strength. Suhi stood below the platform, watching the two of her protectors drop one after another. Her expression finally changed completely. She stared at me, and for the first time her eyes held something like wariness. And I, standing atop the platform, met everyone's shocked, reverent gazes, and felt the gloom that had weighed on my heart for 2 lifetimes finally lift, just a little. After the clan tournament, my standing within the clan underwent a complete, earth-shaking change. Back then, those who'd treated me, even the clan elders who used to sound polite while looking down on me, now beam the moment they see me, smiling like a chrysanthemum in full bloom. Every other word is the younger generation is formidable, and the clan leader has a worthy successor. As for Suhi, though she still looks all frail and pitiful, the kind everyone's supposed to adore, her loss of composure on the arena that day has, in the end, left a thorn in everyone's hearts, especially those who once were utterly infatuated with her. Seeing the white tiger and the merfolk beaten half-crippled by me, their eyes now held a few traces of hesitation. After all, a beauty is nice, but if she only brings trouble, and is just a decorative vase who can't protect herself, even getting her contracted beast badly injured, then it's something they'll have to rethink. Suhi clearly noticed this subtle shift as well. A few days later, I was cultivating in the courtyard, and Gujoyo, languid as ever, was draped over a treetop, basking in the sun. Suhi came in, carrying the scent of herbs with her. Junior sister. She held out a bowl of medicinal soup, a smile so gentle it was almost fake. I made this chi-boosting tonic especially for you. You expended a lot during the grand competition. Drink it while it's hot. I cast a glance at the bowl, not yet saying a word, when Gujoyo's voice rang out in my mind. Don't drink it. She added sandling grass. The amount is tiny. You wouldn't notice it normally, but taken long-term it'll damage your foundation and make your cultivation stall. I sneered inwardly, but kept my face calm. Senior sister, you're very thoughtful. It's just that I've hit a bottleneck lately, and father said it's not suitable for me to take tonics right now. You should keep this soup for yourself, senior sister. After all, taking care of the white tiger is exhausting too. Suhi's expression stiffened. Her fingers tightened slightly around the bowl. Junior sister, your eyes turned red at once. Are you still blaming me? I know the white tiger ran into you that day, but he didn't mean it. I only wanted to make it up to you. As she spoke, 2 clear streams of tears slid down her cheeks. The way she looked was truly pathetic enough to make anyone pity her. Just then, a few clan disciples passed by the courtyard gate. Seeing this, they all stopped in their tracks. Noticing them, Suhi cried even harder. If you won't forgive me, junior sister, then I'll kneel here and never get up. As she spoke, she made to kneel. By the usual script, this was when those tender-hearted male disciples would rush in and accuse me of bullying the weak. But before her knees could even bend, a dark shadow suddenly sprang down from the tree. Hiss! Gujoyo shot out like a bolt of black lightning, smacking the medicine bowl right out of Suhi's hands. The scalding brew splashed everywhere, drenching Suhi. Suhi shrieked, stumbling back a few steps in a panic. That carefully prepared kneel instantly turned into a clumsy trip and fall. Oh dear, watch out, senior sister. I cried out, feigning surprise. But I didn't lift a hand to help. I just stood there and watched as she fell flat on her face. Gujoyo darted back onto my shoulder, looking down at Suhi on the ground. Those golden slit pupils were full of mockery. In my mind, he said, I just didn't like the look of that bowl of medicine, and I figured I'd test it for you while I was at it. This woman's sense of balance looks pretty lousy. The younger clansmen at the doorway exchanged looks. They wanted to laugh, but didn't dare. Suhi was sprawled on the ground, her white dress smeared with mud and medicinal stains. Even her hair bun had come undone. There was nothing left of her usual ethereal, fairy-like grace. She lifted her head, looking at me with an aggrieved expression. She was just about to accuse my spirit beast, but I beat her to it. I pointed at the spilled medicine on the ground, feigning heartbreak. Senior sister, look. Even my little snake knows there's something wrong with this. It would rather knock it over than let me drink it. Why you were trying to harm me. Suhi froze. A flicker of panic flashed in her eyes. What nonsense are you? This is just ordinary chi tonifying soup. I let out a cold laugh, then crouched down. I dabbed a bit of the leftover liquid with my fingertip. With a surge of spiritual energy, the liquid instantly turned into a wisp of green smoke, giving off a faint sour, astringent odor. The smell of sandling grass. Senior sister, as a spiritual cultivator, surely you can't claim you didn't recognize it. The moment I said that, the crowd watching at the door erupted. Sandling grass? That's a forbidden drug. Take it long term, and it ruins your foundation. Heavens. Miss Suhi actually gave the eldest young lady something like that. That's downright vicious. And I used to think she was gentle and kind. Turns out you can never tell what's in someone's heart. Suhi's face went deathly pale. Her lips trembled as she tried to protest. And no, it's not like that, I didn't know. This medicine was given to me by someone else too. Oh? Someone else gave it to you. I kept pressing her. Then who gave it to you? Senior sister, why don't you say their name? We can confront them in person. Suhi parted her lips, but no words came out. She'd mixed this medicine herself in secret. There was no someone else. Just then, a figure charged in from outside the courtyard. It was the white tiger, still not fully healed. Here, what happened to you? Seeing Suhi's miserable state, the white tiger flew into a rage. He turned on me and roared, "It's you again, you vicious woman. Haven't you bullied here enough?" I looked at him coldly. Cutie. Open your eyes and look carefully. Who's hurting who exactly? The white tiger froze. Only then did he notice the spilled medicine on the ground, and the crowd around us pointing and whispering. This medicine contains sandling grass. I pointed at the stains on the ground, speaking each word clearly. Your precious here was trying to destroy my cultivation. The white tiger stared at Suhi in disbelief. Hia. Is that true? Suhi shook her head frantically, tears spilling like broken strings of pearls. No. Xiaobai, believe me. I really didn't know. I'm being framed. Watching her stubbornly deny it, I felt a surge of disgust. Enough. A stern voice rang out. Father had appeared at the courtyard gate without anyone noticing. His face was dark as water, his sharp gaze sweeping over the spilled medicine, before finally settling on Suhi. Suhi, you've disappointed me terribly. Father didn't speak loudly, yet his voice carried an unquestionable authority. For the sake of your parents and my past ties with them, I'll spare your life. But from today onward, you will move to Jingxi Cliff on the back mountain. Without my permission, you are not to take a single step outside. Jingxi Cliff, that's where the clan ends. Disciples who've broken the rules. The conditions are brutal, and spiritual energy is scarce. At his words, Suhi went weak and collapsed completely to the ground. Zihu tried to plead for her, but one look from his father stopped him cold. If you want to keep her company, you can go with her. Zihu opened his mouth, but in the end, he shut it again. He might be stupid, but even he knew what kind of place Jingxi Cliff was. You couldn't cultivate there, and it might even make his cultivation regress. Watching Suhi being dragged away by the law enforcement disciples, I didn't feel much satisfaction. Only the calm of everything finally settling. Gujioyo snorted softly in my mind. That's it? She's getting off way too easy. If you ask me, we should have killed her and been done with it. I patted his head. Why the rush? Sometimes, living is more painful than dying. Besides, if we don't make her lay out every last card she's hiding, how can I cut off this damned cycle for good? Gujioyo fell silent for a moment. Then he turned away with a huff. Alt Sundra. Do whatever you want. With me here, she won't be able to stir up any trouble. I smiled, then turned and went back inside. After Suhi was locked up at Jingxi Cliff, the clan finally quieted down a lot. There was no longer that faint, cloying, pick-me vibe was finally gone. Even the air felt a little fresher. I threw myself into cultivation, making every moment count. Every day, aside from eating and sleeping, I was honing my techniques on the training grounds, or entering the mindspace Gujioyo had opened for me, inside that consciousness realm. For hellish, bootcamp training. Gujioyo was vicious with his words, but when it came to teaching, he never held back. He seemed to know the cultivation arts of every race, and could always pinpoint my openings with brutal precision. Too slow. Don't hesitate when you throw a punch. Hesitation gets you beaten. Is your spiritual power just for show? Channel it into your fist. Don't rely on brute force alone. Again, if you don't master this move today, don't even think about eating. Under his devilish training, my cultivation level only rose steadily, reaching late-stage foundation establishment. But my combat ability skyrocketed. Now, even without using spirit, with just raw physical strength and fighting technique, I could easily take down demonic beasts of the same rank. Those peaceful days lasted a full month, until that pitch-dark, gusty night. Late that night, I just finished cultivating and was about to rest. when Gujioyo on my wrist suddenly jolted awake. His snake body snapped taut, those golden slit pupils locked onto the direction of the back mountain. What is it? A chill ran through me. I asked quickly. Something's come out. Gujioyo's voice was low and heavy. There's a nauseating aura coming from over at Jingxi Cliff. Jingxi Cliff, Suhi. A terrible premonition rose in my chest. Go take a look. I slipped on my outer robe. Without a sound, I vaulted over the courtyard wall and darted toward the back mountain. Jingxi Cliff lay at the very edge of the clan grounds. It was a perilous peak, shrouded in mist year-round. On ordinary days, aside from the disciples on watch, hardly anyone came here. But tonight, it was frighteningly silent around Jingxi Cliff. Even the sounds that should have been there, insects chirping, birds calling, were gone. The air carried a faint scent of blood. Gujioyo and I lay hidden in the grass. From afar, I saw two disciples on guard, slumped crookedly against the rock face, alive or dead, I couldn't tell. And at the entrance to Jingxi Cliff, a dark figure stood silently by the weak moonlight. I recognized him. It was the merman who hated me to. Something was seriously off about him. Across his originally pale skin, eerie black patterns crawled. His eyes were blood red. In his hand was a bead that gave off a faint, ghostly purple glow. Facing the cliff walls. Restriction, he chanted under his breath. What is he doing? I asked silently. He's breaking the restriction. Gujioyo snorted coldly. Looks like that dead fish still hasn't given up on that woman. He wants to let her out. But that bead in his hand is interesting. That's a soul-stealing bead. A demonic cultivator's tool. Demonic cultivators? My heart jolted. Righteous cultivators and demonic cultivators are sworn enemies. How could this merman possibly have anything to do with them? Just then, the restriction seal on the cliff face rang out with a sharp crack. A slit tore open. A flash of wild delight crossed the merman's face. He darted in. Follow him. Gujioyo barked under his breath. I held my breath and quietly tailed the merman into the cave behind him. Inside Jingxi Cliff, there was a vast natural karst cavern, cold and damp. The deeper we went, the more overpowering that nauseating stench of blood became. At last, we reached the deepest part of the cavern. What I saw made my pupils constrict hard. Suhi was sitting cross-legged on a massive black stone dais. Her once pristine robes had turned a dark crimson, whether from blood or something else, I couldn't tell. Her long hair hung loose, and on her face was a strange, seductively sinister smile. All around her lay more than a dozen demon beast corpses. Their fresh blood had pooled into a complicated formation, and was pouring without end. Energy straight into Suhi, and the white tiger that should have been by her side was now barely clinging to life, collapsed in a corner. Its once glossy fur had turned dry and dull, as if its very essence had been siphoned away. Here, the merman gazed at Suhi on the dais, utterly entranced, and walked toward her step by step, holding up the soul-seizing pearl as if presenting a tribute. I've brought it. The thing you wanted. I've brought it. Suhi slowly opened her eyes. Those once clear eyes had become an eerie deep violet. She reached out, her nails lengthening into sharp points. She gently took the pearl. Well done. Her voice was raspy, yet irresistibly alluring. It carried a soul-stealing kind of enchantment. With this in hand, I can finally cast off this useless body and be reborn. She swallowed the soul-seizing pearl in one gulp. Boom! A horrifying black shockwave burst out from within her, instantly blasting the demon beasts around her. Their corpses shattered into dust. The merman was flung away by the shockwave, slamming hard into the rock wall. He spat out a mouthful of blood, yet still smiled dazedly at her. You're so beautiful. In the corner, Ziha lifted his head with difficulty. His eyes were filled with fear and despair. Hia. No. Who are you? You're not my here. Suhi turned to look at Zihu. A cruel smile tugged at the corner of her lips. Xiaobai, didn't you say you loved me most? If you really love me, then offer up your demon core to me as well. As she spoke, she suddenly thrust out her hand, grabbing at him through the air. The white tiger let out a shrill, agonized scream. His body convulsed violently, and a golden demon core was, bit by bit, ripped forcibly from his mouth. Stop. I couldn't stand it anymore. With an angry shout, I charged out from the shadows. Suhi paused mid-motion, then turned to look at me. A flicker of surprise flashed in her eyes, only to turn at once into blatant, dripping mockery. Well, if it isn't my dear junior sister. What? You here to join the spectacle too? Suhi, you've actually fallen into demonic cultivation. I barked. Aren't you afraid the entire clan will hunt you down? The entire clan? He burst into loud laughter. It was sharp and grating. Once I've drained these two idiots dry, I'll swallow you up too, you so-called genius. Then who in this entire clan could stop me? By then, I'll be the one and only king. Gujiyo said coldly in my head. Ah-ching, be careful. Something's off about her. There's a lingering remnant soul of some old monster inside her. Those previous loops were probably the old thing's doing. So that's it. No wonder, in my first 2 lives, no matter who I chose, those beastmen all fell hopelessly under her spell. So it wasn't just her fake innocent act. It was because she was hiding. An old demon skilled in seduction and possession. They want to devour me? I let out a cold laugh. Spiritual power surged through my body. I took a fighting stance. Then let's see if you've got the teeth for it. Courting death. Suhi's expression darkened. She whipped her hand through the air. Black demonic chi condensed into razor claws, slashing straight at me. Jiao, now! On it. The black jade bracelet on my wrist shattered in an instant. A massive black mystic serpent phantom shot up behind me, letting out a deafening roar. It met the demonic claws head-on. A battle was about to erupt. The enormous mystic serpent phantom coiled above the lava cave. Its golden slit pupils looked down coldly on everything below, like an ancient god passing judgment on mere ants. In that moment, I saw Sui's once overbearing expression. That old monster inside her clearly knew what it was looking at. Under that terrifying bloodline suppression, Sui's body suddenly shuddered, like a mouse spotting a cat. I couldn't hear what that old monster was thinking, but judging from Sui's terrified, warped expression, Gujiyo's true form had clearly scared it half to death. Gujiyo couldn't be bothered with talk. His massive tail whipped out with thunderous force, slamming down hard. With a boom, the entire cavern shook. Rubble rained down to the ground. Sui hurriedly unleashed her demonic aura, trying to block it. But under absolute suppression, that tiny bit of power she'd just swallowed, so impure and patchwork, was as flimsy as paper. Pfft, Sui was sent flying by a single tail swipe. Like a rag doll. Crashing into a heap of rocks. The soul-seizing bead she'd just swallowed was knocked right back out, rolling to a stop at my feet. That's all you've got? Gujiyo's voice echoed through the cavern, dripping with contempt. I thought you were someone impressive. Turns out you're just a skulking rat in the shadows. I was about to step in and finish her off when I saw Sui, sprawled among the rocks, suddenly lift her head in a chilling way. A soundless, cold smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. In that instant, I thought I saw her fingers flick almost imperceptibly. A thread-thin, nearly invisible black glint mixed into the dissipating demonic aura and shot out at a vicious angle toward the phantom form in midair. Watch out! I cried out on instinct. But to my mortal eyes, it was far too fast. So fast I even wondered if I'd imagined it. Gujiyo hung in midair. He seemed to stiffen for an instant, though it lasted only a split second. His massive, once solid projection seemed to ripple with the faintest, barely noticeable tremor. My heart leapt straight into my throat. But the very next moment, a clearer, louder dragon cry rang through the cavern. A streak of golden light flashed. The colossal mystic serpent. In its place was that familiar little black snake, landing squarely on my shoulder. Jiao, are you alright? I looked at him, nerves tight. I reached out, wanting to touch his scales. Gujiyo lazily flicked his tail, dodging my hand. His tone was as infuriating as ever. What could possibly be wrong? Trash like that. I'd dirty my hands just beating it. You, on the other hand, what are you standing around for? Beating an enemy while they're down. Still needs me to teach you? Seeing him so full of vigor, still able to run his sharp tongue, I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. So that brief pause just now must have been my imagination, or a normal after-effect of transforming. I turned to look at Sui, collapsed limp on the ground. The killing intent in my eyes instantly boiled over. I don't need you to teach me. I pushed off hard, moving like lightning, and closed in on her in an instant. This punch was for myself. It carried all my spiritual power and all my physical strength, slamming solidly into Sui's lower abdomen. Sui let out a piercing scream. Her whole body doubled over like a shrimp. A mouthful of black blood sprayed from her lips. And this punch was for all those you murdered, the innocent beast folk. Bang, another punch. It crashed into her face, snapping the bridge of her nose cleanly. This one was for the idiot I was in the first 2 lives. The final punch. I drove it straight into her dantian, her sea of chi. With a dull thud, Sui's aura withered completely. She collapsed like a heap of sludge. Her cultivation was crippled. Her face was ruined. Only shallow breaths out, none in. Not far away, The mermaid stared at the scene, stunned, as if his faith had just shattered. The white tiger in the corner trembled violently. The way he looked at me was pure terror. Ching. Just then, hurried footsteps echoed from the cave passage. My father finally arrived with several elders, taking in the carnage inside, especially the lingering demonic chi, and the soul-snaring bead on the ground. My father's face went livid. What happened? One elder cried out. I pointed at Suhi on the ground. Suhi colluded with demonic cultivators, practicing forbidden arts. She not only slaughtered spirit beasts, she even tried to devour the white tiger and the mermaid. If Gu Jiuyo and I hadn't arrived in time, the consequences would have been unthinkable. The evidence is irrefutable. The ground was littered with dried-up beast corpses, and Suhi herself. The demonic chi hasn't fully dispersed. That's proof enough. My father drew a deep breath, pain flickering across his eyes. But more than that, the resolve and authority of a clan leader. He stepped up to Suhi, looking down at the one who had once been treated as his own adopted daughter. His voice was ice-cold. Suhi, I've never treated you poorly. You actually fell into the demonic path. You harmed your fellow disciples. You're utterly deranged. Suhi struggled to pry open her swollen eyes. She tried to speak, but only a hoarse, rasping sound came out. For the sake of the bond one once shared with your parents, I won't kill you. Father turned away and waved his hand. Relay my order. Sever all of Suhi's meridians. Place her under the 4 seals for life in the cold water prison. She is never to take a single step outside, ever. As for that merman, he aided evil. Strip him of his cultivation, and expel him from the clan. Several enforcement disciples stepped forward at once, and hauled Suhi away like a dead dog, dragging the merman off as well, utterly distraught. It was late. I took Gu Jiuyo back to my room. He seemed genuinely exhausted. As soon as we got back, he coiled up on the pillow and didn't move. His breathing was much heavier than usual. I stared at his tightly shut eyes, unease creeping into my chest. Even though he said he was fine, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. That fight just now, was he really unhurt? I gently stroked his icy scales and whispered, Jiuyo, thank you. Gu Jiuyo didn't open his eyes. He only hooked the tip of his tail around my finger, as if in reply. After Suhi was placed under the 4 seals, the days became calm yet busy. As the clan's newly appointed young clan leader, I had to handle internal affairs and deal with all those fickle opportunists who came calling one after another. The collateral branches and affiliated families. That white tiger who used to treat me with cold indifference even tried to come back to me after he recovered, saying that back then he had been blinded by Suhi. Only now do I see who it is. Who the real powerhouse is. I never even met him. I had the guards throw him out on the spot. A spineless fence-sitter like that is filthy to even look at twice. And yet, in this seemingly smooth stretch, one thing felt like a thorn, always lodged in my heart. Gu Jiuyo was getting sleepier by the day. At first, I thought it was just to recover the spiritual energy he'd spent in that fight. But a full 3 months went by, and he stayed awake for shorter and shorter stretches. That sharp-tongued voice that used to run its mouth in my head all day, constantly complaining. That picky, slender snake now spent most of his time coiled around my wrist, like a real black jade bangle, perfectly still. Jiuyo. Late at night, after finishing a full day of cultivation, I gently poked the little black snake on my wrist. No response. His body was colder than before. Even his scales no longer had that shifting sheen, but a lifeless ash. The unease in my chest only grew stronger. I tried channeling spiritual energy into him, but it was like a clay ox entering the sea, gone in an instant without a trace. And his aura didn't improve at all. Stop wasting your effort. Just when I was so anxious I was about to burst into tears, a voice finally sounded in my head. Familiar, but weak. Gu Jiuyo cracked his eyes open. Those golden slit pupils looked unfocused. I'm just tired. A little sleep and I'll be fine. You're lying. My eyes were rimmed with red, and my voice was trembling. You've never slept this long before. That day in the lava cave. What exactly was that black streak of light? Were you hurt? Gu Jiuyo fell silent for a moment. Then he gave a soft snort. Women are such a hassle. I told you, I'm fine. Just that old monster's final counterstrike. A bit vicious, that's all. I just need some time to work it off. It's nothing serious. He made it sound trivial, but I could clearly feel that as he said it, his body trembled ever so slightly. He was forcing himself through the pain. The thought twisted my heart like a knife. Early the next morning, I burst into my father's study and combed through all the clan's ancient texts, trying to find anything about that black light. Records of damage to the spirit soul. Seeing how obsessed I was, my father sighed. He handed me a gold-stamped invitation. Ching, stop looking. Some injuries can't be healed with ordinary medicine. My father's expression was grave. This is the entry token for the Yunmeng's secret realm. In 3 days, Yunmeng's will open. They say there's a plant inside, called spirit washing grass, which can cleanse the spirit soul and heal any hidden injuries. Spirit washing grass, my eyes lit up. I snatched the token. I'm going. Yunmeng's is extremely dangerous. Not only are there there are also geniuses from other clans, all fighting over their fortunes. My father looked at me, his eyes full of worry. Are you sure you want to go? I have to. I clenched my fists, my voice steady. Jiuyo was hurt saving me, let alone Yunmeng's. Even if it were a mountain of blades and a sea of flames, I'd still charge in. My father met my steady, determined gaze. In the end, he nodded, relieved. That's my daughter. In that case, I'll prepare the best spiritual artifacts and pills for you. Go. Bring back the spirit wash. Back in my room, I told Gujiyo I was heading to Yunmeng's. Gujiyo. He'd been pretending to sleep, but he snapped his head up at once. His voice was urgent. With your cultivation, you think you can go somewhere like Yunmeng's? That's suicide. I won't allow it. I've already decided. As I packed my things, I said without turning around, you're my contract beast. I'm your master. Wherever the master goes. Do I need my pet's permission? You, Gujiyo choked with anger. You're gambling with your life. This little injury won't kill me. You don't need to risk yourself for me. I stopped what I was doing, turned around, and looked straight into his golden eyes. Gujiyo, listen to me. I said each word clearly. In the first 2 lives, you were the one protecting me. This time, it's my turn. Even if there's only a 1 in 10,000 chance, I won't give up. Gujiyo froze. He looked at me, something complicated flickering through his golden slit pupils. Shock, and something like being moved. After a long moment, he coiled back around my wrist, tucking his head into his body. In a muffled voice, he muttered, idiot. If you die in there, don't expect me to collect your body. I laughed. I gently patted his cold. Bad people live forever. Neither of us will die that easily. 3 days later, entrance to Yunmeng's. Elites from all the major cultivation clans had gathered here. Flying skiffs blotted out the sky. Beastly roars rose and fell without end. I was dressed in fitted training gear, with Gujiyo coiled around my wrist, disguised as a bracelet. I stood alone in the crowd, drawing countless assessing stares. Some were curious, some disdainful, some outright hostile. After all, the Suhi incident had caused a huge stir. I was a celebrity here now. With a thunderous rumble, a rainbow-hued gate of light slowly opened. Dense spiritual energy, the secret realm is open, charge. The crowd erupted at once. Countless figures surged toward the light gate, fighting to be first. I took a deep breath, pressing down on restless Gujiyo on my wrist, and murmured in my heart, Jiuyo, let's go. Stay close. Don't. After a dizzying spin, I stepped into a land brimming with the unknown and danger. And also with hope. Spirit cleansing herb, I'm getting it, no matter what. Within Yunmeng's, ancient trees towered overhead, and poisonous miasma hung thick. The spiritual energy here was dense, but laced with a violent, frenzied edge. The moment I landed, I swallowed a miasma-repelling pill, and scanned my surroundings warily. Head east. Gujiyo's languid voice sounded in my mind. There's a decent medicinal scent coming from that way. It's not spirit-cleansing herb, but it's better than nothing. I did as he said and headed east. Along the way, with Gujiyo's sharp senses, I avoided several deadly traps hidden beneath the swamp. When I reached the depths of a dense forest, Gujiyo suddenly warned me to stop. Someone's here. I froze in my tracks. I hid myself behind a gigantic fern. In the clearing not far ahead, several cultivators were gathered around a plant that was giving off a purple glow, a ginseng greed written all over their faces. We found this purple cloud ginseng first. One of them was just about to reach out and pick it, when suddenly, a black shadow dropped from the treetops like a wraith. It was so fast it was unbelievable. A cold glint flashed. Before the cultivators could even react, their magic implements were knocked from their hands. The purple cloud ginseng, too, ended up in the shadow's grasp. The shadow landed, revealing himself. He was dressed in black. A boy with a cold, stern face. In his hand was a jet-black dagger, and his gaze was razor-sharp, like a hawk's. Killing intent radiated from him, chilling to the bone. The cultivators were unwilling to accept it, but feeling the terrifying pressure rolling off the boy, they could only grit their teeth and leave in hatred. The boy put away the purple cloud ginseng, and didn't leave. He suddenly turned his head, his eyes locking precisely on the spot where I was hiding. You've been watching for so long. Aren't you coming out? I've been spotted. My heart jolted. His senses were unbelievably sharp. Even Gujioyo couldn't completely conceal my presence. Since I couldn't stay hidden, I stepped out openly. I was just passing by. No offense intended. I spread my hands, showing I meant no harm. The boy sized me up, his gaze pausing on Gujioyo at my wrist. For a brief moment, a flicker of surprise crossed his eyes, but it quickly faded back to calm. "You're injured," he said abruptly. His tone was firm. I froze for a second. I really do have some lingering injuries from the trial grounds, the hidden damage still not fully healed. Even my father didn't notice. So how did he know? Before I could answer, he went on. "You're looking for spirit cleansing grass." This time, I was truly stunned. "How do you know that?" The boy didn't explain. He simply turned and headed deeper into the woods. "Follow me. I know where it is." I stayed where I was, hesitating. His background was a mystery. Should I trust him? Follow him? Gujioyo's voice suddenly rang out. "There's something very unusual about this kid's scent. It's a bit like that annoying white tiger, but far purer than that dumb cat. And he has no killing intent toward you." Since even Gujioyo said so, I didn't hesitate anymore. I hurried after him. "Hey, why are you helping me?" I quickened my pace to catch up, and asked curiously, "Do we know each other?" The boy didn't even turn around. His voice was as cold as ever. "In a past life, you saved me." "Me? A past life? Saved him when?" I was completely dumbfounded. Could he have been reborn too? But why don't I remember it all? When did I ever save anyone? Sensing my confusion, the boy slowed slightly, then glanced at me from the side. In those icy eyes, a faint trace of a smile flickered. "In my first life, I was hunted down by demon hunters, and fled to the area near Stardust Cave." Something sparked in my mind. The floodgates of memory burst open. In my first life, when I was still young, I did save a feathered finch in the back mountain. It was gravely injured then. Every day, I secretly fed it my father's spirit medicine. But later on, when I went back to look for it, it was gone. I was upset for a long time. Could it be? I stared ahead in shock at the aloof boy in front of me. "Are you Xiaolu?" The boy didn't answer. He just turned away and kept walking. But the tips of his ears were faintly, suspiciously red. "Shut up. Keep up." I watched his back, and couldn't help but laugh. The wariness in my heart finally melted away. The way this life was headed was getting more and more interesting. Not only did I have an ancient black serpent, proud and sharp-tongued, I'd also gained one who repaid kindness with loyalty. A Shura faithful sparrow. With Xiaolu Nightshade leading the way, traveling through Yunmeng Marsh was easy as walking on level ground. He seemed to know every inch of this place like the back of his hand. Where the venomous insects were, where the swamps lay, and where rare herbs grew. He knew it all. Half a day later, we arrived before a secluded, shadowy valley. "We're here." Nightshade stopped, pointing into the depths of the valley. "The spirit-washing herb is inside, but there's a guardian beast." I followed where he pointed, and saw, by a clear spring in the middle of the valley, a plant, emerald green from stem to tip, its leaves like jade. Crystal clear and delicate. It gave off a faint, shimmering glow. The spirit-washing herb. And right beside it was coiled a gigantic two-headed crocodile turtle, snoring in deep sleep. That was a peak 5th-tier black-armored turtle. "Its defense is insanely tough," Gujioyo remarked in my head. "It's a bit dumb, but it's thick-skinned and tough as hell. Won't be easy to deal with. I'll draw it away. You go pick the herb." Yi Ying kept it brief. The moment he finished, he was about to dash out. "Wait." I grabbed him. "It's too dangerous. That's a peak 5th-rank demon beast." Yi Ying looked back at me, his gaze steady. "I'm fast. It can't catch me." Before I could argue, he flashed and shot into the valley. "Hey, big turtle, wake up." Yi Ying chopped his blade down on the black-armored turtle's shell, and it rang out with a sharp crack. The black-armored turtle was jolted awake, and flew into a rage. Its two massive heads roared at the same time, snapping at Yi Ying. Yi Ying weaved nimbly through the boulders, luring it to the far side of the valley. "Now!" Gujioyo barked in a low voice. I didn't hesitate. I pushed my spiritual energy to the limit, and lunged for the spirit-washing grass. Closer, almost there. Just as my fingers were about to touch the spirit-washing grass, in that instant, the once calm spring suddenly erupted. A giant, as thick as a bucket, shot up from the water, gaping wide as it lunged to bite me. So this spirit-washing grass actually has two guardian beasts, courting death. Gujioyo on my wrist sprang up in an instant, turning into a bolt of black lightning, and slamming straight into the giant python. Bang! The python was knocked off course, and crashed hard to the ground. I seized the chance and grabbed the spirit-washing grass, yanking it out by the roots. I spun around and ran. Got it. Pull back. Night Shadow, who was luring the tortoise in the distance, saw I'd succeeded. He flickered. Shaking off the black-armored tortoise, he rushed over to rendezvous with me. Move. One person and two beasts, perfectly in sync, while those two guardian beasts, roaring in fury. We quickly fled the valley. Not until we'd run far away and confirmed we were safe did we stop to catch our breath. I stared at the sparkling, translucent spirit-washing herb in my hand, so excited my hands were trembling. Jiuyo, you're saved. Gujiuyo coiled back around my wrist. He looked a little worn out, but his voice was still arrogantly smug. Lucky you. Night Shadow sat on a nearby tree trunk, wiping the blood from his dagger. Seeing the smile on my face, the corner of his mouth lifted slightly too. In this life, things really did seem different. After we left Yunming's, my team gained one more quiet but vicious tag-along. Night Shadow turned down the generous reward my father offered, saying only, I'm following her. And just like that, he made himself at home in my courtyard, settling into the old scholar tree. As for me, the moment I returned to the clan, I went into seclusion to refine the spirit-washing herb for Gujiuyo. The spirit-washing herb truly lived up to its name as a heaven-and-earth treasure. The instant its medicinal power spread from Gujiuyo's body, that dead, ashen aura began to fade at a visible pace. Even though that soul-targeting fallen immortal shackles still clung stubbornly within him, impossible to purge completely, at least that constant tormenting kind of. The excruciating pain was gone. 3 days later, Gujiuyo finally woke from his long slumber. How do you feel? I watched him, nerves taut. Gujiuyo stretched lazily, his body uncoiling. His scales gleamed again, glossy as black jade. He shot me a look. The tip of his tail lightly hooked my palm. Not bad. I won't die. But if you want to get rid of that thing for good, you'll have to rely on yourself. Me? Obviously. Gujiuyo rolled his eyes. Right now, you and I are tied to the higher your cultivation, the less the laws of this world suppress me. Only then will there be a chance to break this damn spirit-locking curse. So he suddenly straightened up, his gaze turning razor-sharp. Get up. From today on, training intensity doubles. Don't think that just because you got the spirit-washing herb, you can slack off. I was just about to savor that warmth of surviving the ordeal when this devil of a coach dragged me right back to reality. So, my miserable days began. Before dawn every day, Gujiuyo would haul me out from under the covers and make me do weighted runs around the back mountain. Move it. What, you didn't eat? At this pace, you couldn't even outrun a turtle. Gujiuyo coiled atop my head, not lifting a finger to help, and running his taunting mouth nonstop. And when I finally finished, panting, my whole body feeling like it might fall apart and collapse on the ground, a cup of spiritual tea at just the right temperature would be brought to my lips. Yi-Ing crouched beside me, a clean handkerchief in hand, quietly wiping the sweat from my brow. Drink some water. That was all he said. It almost brought tears to my eyes. Before I could even thank him, Gujiuyo, perched above me, snorted. Spare the rod and spoil the child. Go on, keep coddling her. When she gets to the battlefield, the enemy won't offer her water. Yi-Ing looked up and shot Gujiuyo a cold glance. She's tired. Tired? Cultivation is defying the heavens. If you can't take it, don't cultivate. Gujiuyo glared right back, refusing to back down. And you? Stop acting like her nanny and hovering around her all day. If you've got time to spare, go. Clear out the demon beasts on the back mountain. Let her use them for practice. That's my job. Yi-Ing replied flatly. Then he pulled an oil paper parcel from his robe and handed it to me. Osmanthus cakes. Freshly bought. My eyes lit up. I was just about to take it when smack, a blacktail, utterly merciless, knocked my hand away. Eat? Eat what? You just finished training and you want something that sweet? How is your spiritual chi supposed to circulate? Gujiuyo looked at me in exasperation. Go. Recite the chi gathering art 10 more times. I wanted to cry, but no tears would come as I stared at the osmanthus cakes on the ground, then looked at Yi-Ing, expression cold, yet quietly, picking them up and blowing the dust off. Then I looked up at the one above me. That arrogant, Sundra snake. So this is the legendary Shirasine? Why is it always me who gets hurt? The days passed in the midst of this snake and bird. Bickering, chaos everywhere. Gujiuyo was in charge of coming up with all kinds of insanely brutal training plans, drilling me like he meant to work me to death. Yi-Ying's job is to, after I've trained myself half to death, quietly bring me tea and water, massage me and apply medicine, and, while he's at it, use that kind of. If you push her again, I'll. You fixed Gujiuyo with. In the meantime, another piece of news came in. Suhi was dead. She died in that cold, clammy Hansui prison. They said the demonic art inside her backfired, and she couldn't accept that her face was ruined, or the blow of losing all her cultivation. On a night of raging wind and rain, she ended it herself. When I heard the news, I was practicing my sword in the training ground. The sword in my hand paused for a moment, then thrust out even more sharply. All that came before. At last, it dissipated into nothing. Half a year later, my cultivation advanced from late-stage foundation establishment and broke through to the golden core stage. I became the youngest golden core cultivator in the family in 100 years. That night, the moonlight flowed like water. I sat on the rooftop, a jug of wine in my hand. Ying sat on a treetop not far away, like a silent guardian. Gu Jiuyo was coiled on my knee, rarely not mocking me, just quietly watching the moon. Jiuyo. I lowered my gaze to him and asked softly, I'm already at the golden core stage. How much longer until you can break the spirit-locking curse? Gu Jiuyo flicked lazily his tail. Not even close. At least the nascent divinity stage. Nascent divinity. I let out a sigh. That's still a long way off. But don't worry. I'll cultivate hard and get you to ascend as soon as I can. Return to the upper realm. Gu Jiuyo fell silent for a moment. Then he suddenly turned his head. Those golden slit pupils under the moonlight looked especially deep. Idiot. You're the idiot. I poked him on the forehead, annoyed. Who do you think I'm doing all this for? Like I even care about ascending. Gu Jiuyo turned his head away. His voice was a little muffled. Those old geezers in the upper realm are boring as hell, scheming against each other all day. How could it be as free as it is here? I froze for a second. Then why do you still push me to train so hard? Gu Jiuyo turned back. He stared straight at me. His tone was more serious than ever. Qing. What happened with Suhi isn't an isolated case. Today it was Suhi falling to demonic corruption, tomorrow, who knows? This world runs on the law of the jungle. Only if you're strong enough. So strong no one dares bully you. So strong that, even if the demon army presses to our borders, you can still win with ease. Only then can I sleep in and not worry. As he spoke, he awkwardly averted his gaze and, I'm an ancient mystic serpent, you know. If the master of my contract is too weak, what happens to my reputation if word gets out? Watching his tsundere act, warmth surged through my chest. So that was why he pushed me to grow stronger, so I could survive and stand on my own in this cruel world, and protect my family. Even if one day he's no longer here, or he falls into slumber, then even in this ruthless cultivation world, I'll still be able to live. All right, I sniffled, smiling as I lifted the wine jug. For your pride, and for my own life, I'll become the strongest. Nightshade suddenly leapt down from the treetop, landing beside us. He looked at me, then at Gu Jiuyo. Rarely did he speak at length. Don't worry. Even if he's asleep, you've still got me. This blade of mine will cut down anything in your way. Gu Jiuyo let out a scornful snort. With your half-baked skills? Why don't you practice first? So I don't send you flying with one swipe of my tail? Ying drew his dagger, expressionless. Try me. Fine. Let's try. Watching them start up again, one snake and one bird bickering, I couldn't help but laugh. Moonlight spilled over us, stretching 3 long shadows behind. The path of cultivation is long. Maybe it's filled with thorns and hardship, but with them by my side, I think